Good evening and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. Welcome to the program. The Republican convention, it has gavelled in, and just a few days from now, the once unthinkable will happen. Donald Trump will officially become the Republican nominee for president. Tonight, we're going to get a lot from Cleveland. First, though, let's get live reaction from Marcy Gonzalez, who's on the ground in Cleveland for us.
Yeah, there was some drama on the floor just a bit earlier from the anti-Trump movement, a very eventful start to this first day. Before the music and speeches,
this convention will come to order.
The Republican National Convention opening with a moment of silence. Remembering the 3 police officers killed in yesterday's ambush in Baton Rouge.
There are genuine heroes.
The theme of this first day, Make America Safe Again, focusing on recent violence, national security, immigration, and foreign policy. Donald Trump planning to take the stage to introduce the night's main speaker, his wife, Melania, just one of many members of his family scheduled to speak here this week.
Our goal all week is to present a picture of Donald Trump that is broader than just the campaign image, the person, not just the candidate.
Outside of the convention hall in Cleveland,
Donald Trump has got to go!
Protesters peacefully marching.
In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
While inside, the floor erupting as anti-Trump delegates try and fail to block Trump's nomination.
Roll call vote! Roll call vote!
If what they want is unity, treat us respectfully.
And noticeably absent from the convention this week, some prominent members of the party, including Trump's former rival, Ohio Governor John Kasich, and members of the Bush family. But a Trump spokesperson dismisses it, saying they are a part of the past, and this convention is all about the future. Live in Cleveland, Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News. Now back to you.
Thank you very much, Marcy. And we're going to have a presence in Cleveland throughout the week here. And tonight, you're going to hear from Mrs. Trump, Melania Trump, the wife of Donald Trump, and also Rudy Giuliani. There will be other speakers as well. But off to a bit of a fractured start. For more on this, let's check in with our senior political correspondent, Andrew Whitman, who is at the RNC.
Well, Rich, you've been spotlighting some of the drama that we've seen on the streets surrounding the Quicken Loans Arena and the 2016 Republican National Convention. As for the drama that took place on the floor of the convention, happened a little bit after 4 o'clock this afternoon. It was connected to the Dump Trump movement, specifically a Rules Committee resolution that came out of that committee. Basically, the Dump Trump movement, if were to succeed, needed to vote, or in this case, shout down that report. They did a voice vote that seemed about evenly split among the delegates on the crowd, and and after the chairman of the convention decided that the report had enough votes to pass, the floor absolutely erupted with about half of the delegates shouting for a roll call vote, many of them led by the Texas delegation, who are, of course, support Ted Cruz. The others were shouting USA, USA in support of Donald Trump. Then they went to another speaker, and about 10 minutes later they came out and they redid the vote once again. And that's when this happened.
Those opposed shall say no. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it.
That resolution was passed by voice vote. They declined to do the roll call vote, much to the consternation of some of the Dump Trump delegates down on the floor. And later on, we heard word that the RNC was actively whipping votes in favor of that resolution, trying to put on the best possible face here and trying to staunch the Dump Trump movement, which it now appears to have done. We'll be back with a little bit more from Cleveland in just a few minutes, but for now, Rich, let's send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Andrew, thank you very much. So we knew before Cleveland that there was a fractured party of sorts, but any discord was certainly not kept behind closed doors. It was for everyone to see today. We're going to get into much more of what we can expect today, tonight, and for this week here. But another big element to this convention is security. And there's a massive security apparatus in place in Cleveland. More than 5,000 officers that are on the case here to protect everyone and also to keep very divided factions outside of Quicken Loan Arena from each other. Here's a look at what they're looking out for.
Soft targets are always a concern because the security's down.
and they're not surrounded with the physical barricades nor with the large population of law enforcement.
Security expert Tim Dimoff telling us the convention at the Q and areas in the secure zone are considered hard targets, with security likely tighter than anything Cleveland has ever seen. And Dimoff believes law enforcement is prepared to guard against the threat of terrorism.
We're very prepared for the terrorism. There's a lot of things that people have no idea that have gone into play for the terrorism.
But Dimoff says many people have a growing fear of attacks on soft targets like restaurants, bars, or areas where large crowds may gather, including near protest groups.
Black Lives Matter!
Soft zones are going to become more and more a concern as we move forward, not just in the United States, but worldwide.
Dimoff believes barricades and protest groups, given the chance to be heard, will lessen the chance for trouble. Still, he believes anyone coming to Cleveland for the RNC should pay attention to their surroundings and make a safety plan.
So when you go to an event, check it out. Outside, inside. Know where your entrance and exits are. Have a plan if something happens. How am I going to escape?
And joining us now to talk about this and much more this hour is Michael Murphy. He's a former lieutenant commander detective of the NYPD. And unfortunately, we've talked about a whole lot of sad stories involving law enforcement in the last week or so. And later on this hour, we'll talk about the tragedy that has certainly unfolded in Baton Rouge. But let's talk security at the convention first. We remember what happened in New York 2004 when there was a convention that came in. They tried to separate the protesters as far as they could. What, if anything, did we learn from that? Because that was really the first of its kind when they really tried to pen in the protesters and also keep them a safe distance from, in that case, MSG. Talk about what they're going to try and do in Cleveland here in the same way.
Well, it's the most complicated and volatile convention in recent memory, based on the recent events and what's happening in Dallas, Baton Rouge, coupled with what's happened in Nice with the terrorist attack. The security concerns are going to be the lone wolf terrorist, unruly protesters, and while they have no specific threat, their concern is that you could have someone from each end of the spectrum trying to cause mayhem there in Cleveland this weekend. But the Secret Service, partnered with the FBI and the Cleveland Police, have trained together for the past year. They've been put through many scenarios. Anything that they have overthought it, and trying to, whatever could come up, I think they're well prepared for it.
Let's start with the outside, and then we'll get to the inside of the arena. This only gets further complicated, like when we're talking about open carry, right? And they've had this conversation internally in Ohio. They said to, Governor, hey, listen, can you at least put a moratorium where people shouldn't be carrying concealed weapons here legally around the streets of Cleveland when you've got a convention going on, all the race temperatures, the environment nationally that we've seen with some of the tragic shootings, et cetera. But yet, governor says, I can't do it. I don't have the constitutional authority. There's a debate legally as to whether or not he can or can't with an executive order. But nonetheless, imagine you're law enforcement right now. You're trying to keep the peace, as you said, with two different factions, yet you don't know who's packing or not.
You don't know who's packing. The inner perimeter is safe. The open carry law there, it's not happening.
That's 3 miles from the arena, right?
Yeah. Right. Outside of that, anybody can walk around. It's like you said, it's an open carry state in Ohio. I mean, I know the Cleveland PBA. I was watching the PBA president from Cleveland on TV this morning giving an interview. He's very concerned with this. He doesn't know who the good guys are versus the bad guys.
And all it takes is one lunatic,
That's
right?
it. And everybody's, more hyper-aware. The police officers are hyper-aware. And, people are walking around with guns. They don't know who. If shots start going off and they see people carrying firearms, it doesn't make for a good day.
From a law enforcement perspective, is it always easier policing inside the arena, or is that even the bigger threat because you have more of the tangible targets here, of the elected officials, et cetera, the speakers that could be targets? But nobody's going to get through that perimeter, one would think, here with a weapon, given the metal detectors, the pat-downs, and everything else, right?
Well, it's a layered security. And the closer you get to inside that arena, the more secure you will be. So, I mean, my opinion, inside the arena is the safest place to be. As you get closer and closer to the edge of that, that's when the soft targets start coming in. Restaurants, bars, protesters in the street, spectators that are there just to see what's going on. That's more likely where something will happen.
How does it work chain of command in terms of, you got Secret Service, you got Cleveland PBA, you've got other agencies. Who's in charge of what?
The Secret Service is running the detail. They're in charge. But the FBI is there. Cleveland Police, they swore in a lot of outside agencies from the state of Ohio recently. They
so the
deputized
Cleveland
them.
PBA takes their marching orders from the Secret Service in this particular case.
I think the police chief from Cleveland works in, with the Secret Service. I don't think it's a, I'm going to tell this, you're going to do what I tell you type of thing. I think that they all have met. They have a relationship established now for over a year. I think there's been trust that has been built up between the federal agencies and the local, which for a long time there was mistrust. So I think we've come a long way with that. So I think everybody's working in cooperation with each other. So I think it's just like layers. It's like an onion. Just peel it back.
And we remember Thursday night, obviously, is when Trump will be given the acceptance speech to the nomination. And I got to imagine, if you're working the detail wherever you are in the food chain, Thursday evening cannot come soon enough. You can't wait till the circus leaves town, right?
I would say that as an officer, that's exactly what a lot of these people are thinking. I know the Secret Service, when they have a VIP in town and the wheels are up, they're happy. So I think when Trump's wheels are up, the Cleveland Police, the Secret Service, and the people of Ohio are going to be very happy from the security viewpoint of that.
And then obviously they go on to Philadelphia next week. All right, now we want to show you a live picture of Cleveland, and this really the first night, an hors d'oeuvre, if you will, on how these conventions tend to work. They do some of the party business on the floor, although we saw a lot of debating and fighting on the floor earlier today. When we come back, we'll go live to Cleveland. Andrew, he'll be talking to the head of New York's Republican Party live from the Quicken Loan Arena. Please stay with us.